I decided that day, that was the day I decided I knew what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I knew I was going to learn a trade. Sit down, guys. You're making me nervous. Take a load off, honestly. Take a load off. All right? This is the day. I love you back. I love you back. That was the day I knew what I wanted to do at 12 years old. And so for the next 4 or 5 or 6 years, I did everything I could to follow in my granddad's footsteps. I went through junior high, I went through high school, I took the wood shop, I took the metal shop, I took auto shop, and you know what I learned? I learned just because you want to be good at something doesn't mean you're going to be good at something. C- in wood shop, D+ in metal shop, got a C in auto shop. I was getting frustrated. I was starting to wonder maybe there was something wrong with me. I'm 17 years old at this point. I'm a senior in high school. And I take the college test that they make everybody take, and I'm just lost. I'm confused. And I got a call to go see the guidance counselor. His name was Mr. Dunbar, all right? Mr. Dunbar wanted to talk to me about my future. And he said, look, based on your scores here, we know exactly what you should do, Mike. James Madison is a great school. It's a great 4-year school. You should go there. Or maybe the University of Maryland. You should go there too. And I'm sitting there thinking, look, that's a lot of money. And I don't want to borrow money, and my folks don't have a ton of money, and I just don't know what I want to do. So I said, Mr. Dunbar, I think maybe the smart thing for me to do is go to a 2-year school. Right? Just maybe learn a trade, maybe just figure out what I want to do at a community college. And he said, Mike, that is below your potential. You don't want to do that. And then he gave me the worst advice I've ever heard in my life. He pointed to a poster on his wall. I brought it with me. You want to see it? You're going to love this. You're going to love this. Thing hanging back here somewhere. Oh, it's right here. Beautiful. Thank you. That could have been awkward. This is the poster Mr. Dunbar showed me. Okay? It's a picture of a guy with a diploma standing next to a guy with a wrench. Look how happy the guy with the diploma looks. And look how sad the guy with the wrench looks. And check out the worst advice in the world on the bottom of this poster. Work smart, not hard. Right? Mr. Dunbar says, Mike, which one of these two guys do you want to be? Everything that was in the toilet came flying back on me, and just like that, once again, I'm 40 years old and covered in my own poo. This is a problem. It's a problem because I got to go to work. And my grandfather, he doesn't live next door anymore. So I get on the phone, the yellow pages, I call a plumber, I say, look, my toilet just exploded, okay? I need somebody out here. They said, fine, leave a key under the mat, just put a check on the counter. I said, fine. I went to work, I came home. My toilet is fixed. There's not a sign of the mess. The check is gone. I call my mom just to catch up a little bit. See how Pop's doing. He's 92 at this point, right? And I tell my mother the story about the exploding toilet, and she laughs, and she says, so the plumber came over and saved the day again? And I said, yeah, he did. And she said, what was his name? And I said, you know what? I have no idea. And she said, well, didn't you meet him? And I said, no, I didn't. I was at work. And she said, oh, that's too bad. And I said, yeah, it is, actually. Now that I think about it, it's kind of weird. And that brings me to my hat. My hat says, profoundly disconnected. And I want to talk about that for just a little bit, but that was the moment, if anybody cares, when I decided that dirty jobs might be an interesting thing to do. Because how could I have become so far removed from knowing exactly what I wanted to do from knowing exactly how I wanted to work, from being so sure of all those things when I was 12. Suddenly I'm 40, and I don't even know the name of my own plumber. I'm so disconnected from the very things I thought that I used to want to do and be, that all I can do is leave a check on the counter and wait for somebody else to come in and do the work for me. So it really struck me in that moment. It made me think, I've been working in television now for almost 20 years. What would happen if I did a show where I could have my name in the title, because that's kind of cool, right? But where I wasn't really the star, where the star of the show was the guy who comes over to the house and does the work when you're not home, the electrician, the plumber, the welder, the skilled worker. That's what Dirty Jobs was. That's how Dirty Jobs started. It's okay to get dirty, that the dirt eventually washes off. The dirt's the thing that keeps us connected. I started getting thank you letters years ago from people we profiled on the show. Electricians would call me all the time. Farmers would call me all the time. A couple months ago in New York, I was walking down Central Park South, a garbage truck. I heard that squeal, they make when the garbage truck stops real quick. Guy jumped off the back, biggest garbage man I ever seen, about 6'8", giant guy, way over 300 pounds. Looks at me, says, "Mike Rowe." I'm like, "Yeah." Runs up to me, doesn't even break his stride, grabs me, lifts me up off the ground, and says, "Man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you do." I said, "Dude, put me down." He said, No, man, listen to me. Do you have any idea how dramatically my love life has improved since you did a show about garbage men? Like, I didn't know. But this is the kind of thing that's been happening now for years. And it's got me thinking, why are people grateful for the show? Nobody had ever thanked me before for doing television. People blamed me for doing television. But people really seem to love this show. And I think it's because I'm not the only one who became disconnected from my plumber. I think there are a lot of people in the country who no longer really understand their relationship to where their food comes from, or where their energy comes from, or what sustainability really is. People aren't connected to the environment the way they used to be. And most importantly, people aren't connected to the definition of a good job. This is what I heard for the last 9 years wherever I went from business owners. I would hear about how hard it was to find people, not people who were educated, but people who were skilled. Because something has been happening in the country where we celebrate one form of knowledge over the next. And that's why I dug this poster out of the archives, because this is still what's going on. We're still telling kids that this degree is your only hope for a happy, successful career. And in our minds, we still see this guy over here as some kind of vocational consolation prize. It's crazy. And you know what it's doing? It's causing problems. There's a thing in this country called the skills gap. Anybody hear of the skills gap? No, you've never heard of the skills gap. You're kidding me. My friend, I'm going to open your eyes today, all right? The skills gap is the fact that there are 3 million jobs available right now for people who are willing to learn a skill and get their hands dirty. They're out there right now, these jobs. How come nobody's going after them? I don't get it. I think it's because a big hunk of the country is disconnected. Now, what about Mr. Dunbar's poster? And I asked myself, what would it look like if it weren't so daggone stupid? What would the worst advice in the world look like if it were actually the best advice in the world? Now keep in mind something when I show you this. Right now, anybody know what $1 trillion is? Yeah, it's a lot, okay? $1 trillion of student loans exist because kids who were in my position a long time ago borrowed money in order to go to a college that they weren't quite ready to go to and study really hard and pay a fortune to get an education that, well, it was awfully expensive. Now, don't think for a second I'm standing here in front of you saying education and college are a problem. No way. After my community college, I eventually went back. I did get a degree, but I didn't get it until I knew exactly two things for sure. A, I could afford it, and B, I knew what I wanted to study. So, rather than saying work smart, not hard, what if we were to say work smart and hard? And that's me, by the way. That's me, by the way, holding my diploma down by my side. It's not because I'm not proud to have it, it's just because so many kids today are in debt because they've paid a lot of money to get an education without a skill. Now, standing next to me is a young man who went to a trade school, didn't get any debt, was immediately hired, and he's out there working right now. To me, that's the poster that should have been in my guidance counselor's office. This is the poster that should be in troop rooms around the country. This is the advice that people ought to be hearing. You can't separate smart work from hard work. And every time you try and do it, something really, really crappy happens. Like a toilet blows up in your face and you don't know what to do about it.